In this episode of Watching the Watchers, which is a segment that we do as criminal defense lawyers to keep tabs on police officers, law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, politicians, anybody in the criminal justice system, we're talking about the Phoenix Police Department, and we're talking about an article that was written by Justin Price of the Arizona Republic entitled "Phoenix Police Routinely Purge Officer Discipline Records and Keep Misconduct a Secret." This is really the embodiment of everything that we try to do on this segment. Justin Price, the journalist from the Arizona Republic, has done an outstanding job of detailing a practice that is, quite frankly, garbage from the City of Phoenix Police Department, and something that is sort of endemic to a lot of law enforcement agencies across the entire state and across the country, where they are keeping their misconduct records and they're keeping problems with their officers hidden or secret from the public. It's part of the reason that we started this segment is to catalog this misconduct and to make sure that the record stays a little bit more permanent. When they're going to be throwing these records out, we're going to be documenting those here for you. And if you want to see them, hit subscribe so that we can keep you up to date. So let's turn to this article. Phoenix police routinely purge officer discipline records and keep misconduct secret. A Republic investigation exposes a guarded practice at the Phoenix Police Department that forgives bad behavior by keeping it hidden. So what this journalist, Justin Price, did is went through many years of records from the Phoenix Police Department and found that the department purges records pursuant to a contract by the City of Phoenix Police Union and the City of Phoenix itself. So the way that it works is the police have a union. So they band together and they work together to engage in a contract with the City of Phoenix. They're represented by the union. So think of it as a whole union working with the City of Phoenix. In order for the City of Phoenix to get officers to patrol and do what we ask the officers to do, there are contracts that they enter into, and there are terms of that contract that are negotiated by the union. One of those terms is that the police can be allowed, the department can be allowed to purge officer records, and they can purge them. It's been going on for 2 decades under the contract, and it allows those records to not be used for future investigations, for disciplinary reasons, or for performance evaluations in the future. So in other words, once those records are purged, they're gone. They're into the ether and they cannot be used against those officers anymore. So what this investigation has done, what Justin Price has done, is found over 5 years, they've erased over 600 acts of wrongdoing, and this contract was ratified by the City of Phoenix, by the City Council, and it's not going to expire until 2021. So this practice is going to be allowed to continue to happen because of the fact that this contract exists. What this article goes on to continue to say is that essentially, here's the way that it works. Under state law, the agencies, law enforcement agencies, are required to keep employee records, including discipline, for 5 years beyond an officer's employment. So how are they purging records? If state law says that law enforcement agencies are required to keep those records for 5 years after they've been employed, where are these records going? Well, they've got a nice little workaround for that. So here's how it works. What ends up happening is the union contract allows them to skirt the law. What they do is they send records of misconduct, of bad performance by these officers. They send it over to the Phoenix Human Resources Department. So you have the police agency over here, the Phoenix Police Department. They have their internal investigations department. They have all their disciplinary proceedings, and everything happens over here. When an officer gets in trouble, what they do is that will go into the City of Phoenix Police Department. They will take those misconduct records, send it over to the City of Phoenix Human Resources Department so that it's on file with that division. Now that is complying with the state law. But what the Phoenix Police Department then does is they purge those records. So they'll purge those records the way that they have their own rules in here. The article says that they have some self-imposed rules here. They have misconduct for some officers is deleted after a certain period of time, but that time frame is not clear. At the officer's request, misconduct can be purged after 3 years. And if it leads to a suspension, it can be purged after 5 years. So even while the officer is employed, they can purge those records from the Internal Affairs Department for the City of Phoenix, from the Phoenix Police Department records, those can be gone. They can be gone immediately, because it's being housed by the Human Resources Department by the city of Phoenix. So this article also goes on to say that they've actually investigated, and they found that over 5 years, records of 90% of all sustained misconduct investigations have been erased. So the reason that why this journalist was able to find these articles is because they basically cross-referenced a bunch of different information. They took those HR departments, cross-referenced them with the investigations that were done by the city of Phoenix and the records that are still kept by the police department itself, and found that all of these records, they're not aligning. We see something over here that we don't see over here. The problem with this is that as defense lawyers, we don't have access to that. When we have an individual who we're representing who is charged with a crime, we go to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor goes to the police department. And the police department is supposed to disclose any of this misconduct to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office is supposed to disclose it to us. They can't disclose it to us if they don't know about it. We can't know about it because it's their files. They have access to that data. We don't have access to it. There's a Supreme Court case called Brady, and what that is saying is that the Supreme Court said that when the police have misconduct, when they have information about malfeasance from the police, we need to know about it. They should tell us about it. Many times, they don't tell us about it. They either think that it's not misconduct, or they'll tell us that this is still pending, these investigations are still ongoing, and therefore you don't need to know about it because there's been no official conclusion about it, and so they just won't disclose it. But if they don't even have the file, if there is no personnel file because it's been purged after 3 years, or purged after 5 years, or purged prior to those time limits expiring, this article, and I would encourage you to read the whole thing, it's fantastic, to read through it, and this journalist finds other areas where those records are purged prior to those expiration dates, prior to 3 years, prior to 10 years. They just get rid of them because it's not convenient for them. So how are we as defense lawyers representing people supposed to know about it? Prosecutors don't know about it because the file's closed. Well, this is what we're doing here on the Watching the Watchers segment. Anytime that this stuff pops up, any of this misconduct pops up, we're going to make sure that we catalog it and reference it, because we do not trust the watchers to keep good records on themselves. We trust ourselves to do it. So that's what we're doing here. We're watching the watchers. One more time, let me just tell you a little bit more about Justin Price. Justin Price from the Arizona Republic. Follow him over on Twitter at Justin J. Price, or reach him at 602-444-8227. He did a great job. Really like to salute journalists who are doing these investigations. They have good resources and good time. And this was an awesome article. Phoenix police routinely purge officer discipline records and keep misconduct secret. Well, with your help and you hitting the subscribe button, we're going to keep delivering the news to you as it comes out, and we will hold them accountable as we continue to watch the watchers. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching.